Alright, hello everyone, this is 8. Long time no see, but yes, I am still alive. If you're not on the Galaxy on Fire Discord, then you won't know that I'm still alive, but here I am. What is this video? Well, this is a hands-on demo by none other than Michael Schade himself for TouchArcade. So they obviously took the opportunity to interview Michael at some kind of expo, some kind of event, maybe Gamescom, something like that. I can't verify that, but this is presumably where it comes from. And Michael, wonderfully, on his first generation iPad, is showing off a very, very early build of Galaxy on Fire 2. And you can tell it's an early build because if you look at the screen, immediately the lighting seems completely off. It's like the lighting hasn't been properly baked in yet. There are no ships in the hangar, there are no repair bots. There's basically nothing other than the mesh of the station and the ship itself. But it does get a little bit different, as you'll see when we get into it. Let's have a look through the video and just see what kind of differences there are. Okay, so Michael has entered the hangar, and at the top there you can see a little red line through where the ship icons should be. Now this is actually a dismissed texture, previously only really known when people discovered the Sure Block and the Retropulse and the Pulse Flight back in the day. They were classed as dismissed items, so therefore items that were in the game but then just kind of rejected and never officially made it to the final release. In very early versions, you are able to buy these items from people in space lounges, but it is exceptionally rare. I have tried so hard to get one of these items to be sold to me. I literally spent a good hour or so just cycling through space lounges, getting everything to reset. Nobody did. It's exceptionally rare, but the items are in the game, but they're just completely inaccessible unless somebody sells you one. So far, there's actually no video footage of these items. There's only screenshots. So I would love to get that for you one day. So these ships at the top, you can see we'll go from bottom to top. There's the Taipan, the Teneta, the Inflict, the Cormorant, and at the top, I can't make that out. I don't know what ship that is. It looks like it begins with a P. So primary weapons, the same. You've got an Araya Impulse and a Microgun. Secondary, you've got an Edo. Equipment, E2 Exoclad, ZMI Opistor. And then for commodities, this is where it gets interesting. We have drinking water, we have space waste, then we have secure container and secure cabin. Two items that aren't normally purchasable in space lounges. You can loot these items from other ships. And it's interesting because you can see secure container has 8 tons in storage and secure cabin has also 8 tons in storage. Underneath there's electronics and then plastics, and below that energy cells. But that is quite interesting that there's both secure container and cabin there. What is also interesting, and it's such a nitpick, but there is no space between the word secure and container or cabin. So it looks like that is the maybe file name of the asset itself and wasn't actually meant to be for final release. So if we continue on with the video, you can see here that the ship actually rotates on screen. This is something that isn't in the SD version. It's just a static ship, which you can then rotate with your finger, but it doesn't auto-rotate like this. Okay, here we are in the Space Lounge, and this looks very unfinished. The model there, if we look back just a second, the model on the right-hand side, I don't think is in the final game. In fact, it's on the left side as well. I don't think this model is in-game. The female model in-game has, as far as I recall, a woman standing with both hands on her hips, and she's got more of an A kind of pose, whereas this figure looks like she's wearing a long dress, which is very interesting. You can see Michael's also got exactly 1 million credits right there. I assume that's just for this build. So interestingly, there are hints on the loading screen. The fact that there were hints originally, and I think the reason they removed them was as simple as the game is just so fast, it takes barely any time to load, so reading any of these hints would be basically impossible, especially on faster devices. But you can see here it says cargo compressors something something something. I can't make out the rest of that. If anybody in the comments can make that out, then let me know. I'm also going to link the original video in the description because YouTube bitrates and everything, downloading the video then compressing and re-uploading is probably going to kill the quality just a teeny bit. So if you want to see the original, which also isn't great quality, then go ahead, do your best, and let me know if you can read whatever that says. But it says cargo compressors or cargo compression something. There are hints for every loading screen. So because I assume it was unloading the first scene that it was in, so it was unloading the station and then loading in space, it had 2 loading screens. So therefore it has 2 hints. And the second one, there are only 2 in this entire video by the way, but the second one says, you won't find every ore in every system. So I think this is probably the most interesting part of the video. Michael is using what is supposed to be the Cador drive to travel from Augmenta to, I think he was going to Union. But look at this animation. Already it doesn't seem quite right. Look at this. Let's just go back and view that again. It looks like a sped up version of the jump gate animation without an actual jump gate. And I think that's really cool. They hadn't quite figured out the Cador drive yet, so they just used the jump gate animation as temporary. And you can see it also looks kind of unfinished because the ship just is gone. There's no animation, there's no build up. It just disappears. Michael goes to the pause menu, goes to graphics, and you can see here that this is not optimized for iPad. This looks like a very stretched out version of the iPhone controls. And that's basically all you get. But interestingly, you can see that the background isn't completely blacked out. It is just dimmed, and you can see some of the gameplay in the background. So he goes back to gameplay, and as far as I can tell, the only thing different here is maybe the projectile animation isn't quite as fast as the full release version. The projectiles look rather slow here, but I'm not sure if that's just because it's running on an iPad 1 or if it was a lot slower. But you can also see the explosions here are a bit less polished than even the SD version when it was fully released. Yeah, you can see the kind of low frame rate explosion there, which is quite fun. That tractor beam texture is gigantic. Look at that. It's bigger than the ship itself, and it also looks like the loot that it's picking up isn't quite aligned, and it just goes past the ship there. You can see it just go past. The interaction menu is not right next to the controls, but instead appears in the top middle, which is different. And again, the background is just dimmed out. I think as well, if we look closely, yeah, the word jump gate there is 2 separate words instead of the combined jump gate. It's jump gate. It's going to head back to the station, picking up more loot with that gigantic tractor beam. Something I noticed here as well is the crosshairs for locking onto an asteroid. It looks like the center disappears when it's loading the crosshair. I just noticed something there that I haven't noticed before. If you look at the bottom left, the interaction menu seems to be flashing. I'm not sure if that's because he's being shot at or if because he's mining. Oh, that explosion animation looks rough. And unfortunately, that's it. That's the end of the video. And this is the only surviving footage of the pre-release version of the game. So if we go into the YouTube channel, this was released 15 years ago. This was released in 2010. And yeah, Galaxy on Fire 2 came out in October 2010. So this was released 3 months prior to the game coming out. So that's it. That is the pre-release version of Galaxy on Fire 2 SD. Quite a few changes were made. It definitely looks unpolished and unfinished, but it's really interesting to see the earlier development stage of the game and just see what features were removed entirely or tweaked a little bit. It's really cool, and I love this kind of thing. So if you like this, then you can subscribe or do something like that. Just go ahead and check out the Galaxy on Fire Discord, because that's where the community is now, if you don't know. And maybe you'll be interested in this video right here, where I take a look at the Pocket Gamer Guide, which you may have forgotten about or may have never even known existed. Thanks for watching.